Welcome to Two Humans Talking, the podcast that talks about what it takes and what it looks like to be healthy and stay healthy, not just in your body, but in your whole entire life, so that you get to show up in this world as your full, whole, authentic self in this modern, fast paced world. I'm Tiffany Simms, your host, and today I am here with Heather Stewart. And Heather and I were just jamming behind the scenes, and I'm pretty sure we're cut from the same cloth. We both have a very similar heart, yet we come at it from a very different energy and intention. And so I'm really excited for the conversation we're about to have. Heather, before we hop in to how to life when life's lifing, can you share who you are, what makes you sparkle, and what uniquely makes you you?
Oh my goodness. How long is the podcast? I'm kidding. Right. So, what makes me sparkle is being able to, it's like turn on a light for someone. That
Mm.
is my jam. And apparently, it's always been my jam. My mom told me when I was 6, I had learned to write. So, I was so excited. I wanted to teach my little sister how to write her name. Was like a big deal for me. So she said, yeah, you just, as soon as you learn something, you want to show people how to do it. So weirdly, though, when I went to university, I became an accountant. Yeah. It's like, what? You became a CPA. I was a CPA for 15 years. And my favorite part of it was when I had new things to figure out and new puzzles to solve. But otherwise, accounting was not really making me sparkle. So one day I decided to leave. I was a senior executive. I was just like, yeah, this isn't working. And my friends thought I was quite insane. One of my friends was going to have me committed, but I left. I quit my job. I went traveling for a few months. I went over to India, um, just backpacking around. And when I came back, I had been doing a lot of yoga for stress relief. So I started teaching yoga and I went back to school for 2 years and became a registered massage therapist. And I went into this whole wellness. I'm like,
A whole career
people,
change.
boom, boom. I was like, I really need to help people feel better because then they'll be able to do more of what they want to do. I said, this is must be what it is. Because I was not like I was as healthy as I could be working long hours at a desk, but I wasn't really the epitome of health, even though I was only in my 30s. And so I went all wellness, everything, everything, personal trainer, you name it, I was doing it. And one day I was helping this new massage therapist who was in my clinic. I was just giving her all this advice. It's like, do this and think about this and sign up for this because she was trying to figure out how to run her own business. And she said, oh my God, Heather, you should teach people this. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. So I started doing business coaching while I was teaching yoga, had my own yoga studio while I was still doing massage. Like, yeah, I can teach this. I'll start doing business coaching. Then faster, faster, faster. 2021 during COVID, I had a stroke. And I was, because it was COVID and there was no beds, I was in the ER for 3 days and no one could visit me. And my eyeballs weren't working right. So I couldn't do what people do and escape into their phone, social media, scroll, denial, denial, denial. So you'll love this. I was blessed with a 3 day silent retreat in the emergency room, just quietly over Halloween weekend in the downtown Toronto. You know, downtown Toronto parts of it are a bit sketchy. I was in the sketchy part. And it was so interesting to listen to the conversations going on outside my room and hear the fear in people's voices and the hope in people's voices. I'm like, wow, this is really interesting because I had nothing
Both
else to
ends
do
of the
but listen.
spectrum.
Yeah, yeah. And while I was there, I'm like, okay, universe, you have my attention now. It's like, I'm not going anywhere. What is this about? Why are you doing this? What's this about? And it was, as they kicked me in the ass as hard as they could without serious permanent damage to get me to stop doing all of the things and say, look, Heather, you need to focus on people's and it was a so that's where my podcast came from, back to me. That's why it's called back to me. It's like you got to talk to people. It has to look at their whole person. You're looking after their businesses and you're looking after their physical wellness, but we need you to look after the wholeness because they're losing track of the parts. Like, okay. And that's where my
Yes.
thriving method, like thriving life method came from, which I just got the trademark recently. It was like, here's the parts. I'm like, okay. And then it was still like, what do I do? Okay. So I've just been finding my way along. I've done a few betas, figuring out what do people resonate with, what's actually helping people. Because, like I was saying, like the thing that makes me excited is when people go, Heather, this is happening, and I don't know why. I'm like, that's so great. you know, it's like makes me super excited. I'm also a kayaking instructor, so I love that too. But that's how I got to like where I am now. It's like my whole reason is just to unlock for people whatever it is that's keeping them from doing that thing really supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Somewhere inside you, you might already know. You think you already know. Somewhere inside people, there's a part of them that knows, but there's so many layers on top of it. You know what I mean? It's
You know,
just like,
it's
oh,
interesting that you say that because yes, and
yes, and
sometimes I truly, and is like my favorite word of late. Like, yes,
oh, that's
and
good.
um, I do truly believe that there's some things that we don't even know exist yet because we haven't made the decision to go after the like experiences that we know we were like we want to open our eyes to a world that we didn't know existed. Like there are so
Right.
many things that when I look now, because I very much am with you, like the core of all of my businesses and programs is like helping people create harmony between their health, their relationships, and the way they earn money so that they
That's the
can be
best word ever.
the holistic show up as
Harmony,
like their
harmony.
yes, right? Because that's true. Like balance doesn't exist. Balance equals equal, and that's not true. Like it really is that ebb and flow, and it takes you knowing where you're going so that you can program the GPS and regulate your nervous system and reset your autopilot so that when life is lifing, you really are showing up as like with the habits of a healthy human so you feel your best in all areas of your life rather than being this fragment of a human you think you have to be in the on the different islands, you know?
Yeah.
And when you look back through that lens, yes, there are things that I know I should be doing. And had I not gone after them and made the decision to put the time on the calendar, I would have never had experiences that then unlocked things that I chase now because I didn't know they existed. I
Well,
didn't
if you
know.
think about it, like
Yeah,
there's
go
no
ahead.
way for you to know. Your imagination can only imagine like this
What
much
you
of what the
know.
universe. Yeah, like it can't imagine the spectacularness that the universe could have planned for you. And it's funny because I think about so one of my nieces, her job is social media. And my brain goes, that's a job. It's like, so, 20, when I was, number of years ago, a long time ago in university, was there the internet then? There wasn't even the internet then. No, no, there
I'm
wasn't. Or
older than
maybe that
Google.
I am older than Google. God damn it.
Me
But
too.
it's like you can't imagine what is in store for you. So when people say, "Well, I don't know what I meant for," I'm like, just did you ever read what's her name? Elizabeth Gilbert's book Big Magic?
I have not. Do I
Oh
need to
my
add
gosh, you
list?
need to put that on your list. Write it down right now.
What was it called?
Um, Big Magic. And I love her voice so much. I got the audiobook so I could
So
listen to her.
Audible is like the way to go.
Yeah, Audible. And she talks about at one point she was like, I don't know what to do. And she was just like stuck. So she just followed curiosity. She's like, she started gardening. Follow your
Artist
curiosity, right?
consuming. I love this. Yes.
So she started gardening and she started going, oh, I wonder what this flower is. And it took her down this, like it just expanded and expanded. And she just became more curious and she went down this rabbit hole. And boom, this book came out of her just being curious about this flower. I was like, that's freaking brilliant.
Yes.
Just be curious.
Yes.
Because if you're curious, it's like a little breadcrumb for you, right? Now,
Yeah.
if you're
It's
like
like
me,
an almond
sometimes
when you're
there's,
hungry and
yeah,
dinner's not ready.
right? Exactly. You munch away. I've got my tea. By the way, this is cacao husk tea. which is
Mm.
delicious. I've been doing
Wish I
cacao
liked
ceremonies lately.
I wish
So
I
good.
liked tea. I love going to like a tea store, like a proper tea store. They smell so good. But I think all tea tastes like sock water.
You're not drinking the right tea.
That's what everyone says, but still, even when it's made properly, I'm still
I
not.
don't like coffee, so
I don't like
it's
that
all good.
either.
Good.
I
Well,
drink a
not
lot
so
of
well,
water,
whatever. It's neither bad nor good.
but either way, sorry, I
So
digress.
that's okay. What we were talking about? Okay, so yes, follow. So everybody
Follow,
is meant for something.
curiosity, curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity. And you don't, so your higher self, soul self, because I've been doing a lot. I've been reading the Akashic records lately. Man, those guys are hilarious. Well, mine are. My record keepers are so they tease me all the time. But it's like we're here to send you love and to, drop you breadcrumbs. But if you're gonna ignore them, we're just gonna sit up here and go, oh, let's try this one. Oh, let's try this one. And so when things keep getting in your way, sometimes it is a signal to change direction. Some
Mm.
sometimes I feel like it's not. Sometimes it's maybe you're going in the right direction, but you're taking the hard road instead of this paved road that they've got ready for you. You've decided to bushwhack it through the gully, through the ditch when they're like, here's the paved road. Why are you down in the ditch? You know what I mean? Like,
That's so
I know
fascinating.
that,
Sometimes that's so fascinating. Sometimes I think to myself that when like challenges come up and there's roadblocks in the way, it's like the universe asking me how bad I want the thing I said I was committed to.
yeah.
Like, you really want what you said you want? Are you going to be resilient and figure it out and find the way around this? Or are you going to be like, oh, it's not for me. This is hard. It's uncomfortable. I'm going to go back to my miserable safety net.
And if you think so, I think yes, and because I like and as well. I
Yeah.
think yes, yes, it can be. Do you really want it? And perhaps it you need to go through that little bit of work to build some resilience for something that's coming later,
Like
right?
side quest.
Because
You don't know why
yeah,
you need side quest until you're looking back and then you're like, oh my God, that makes so much
right.
sense now. I need that detour.
And we can't figure out when we're in the weeds. And then sometimes I think, well, they've got the easy road ready for you, but you chose to, you know, travel through the ditch because you feel like you need to struggle. Now, at the same time, we humans are weird beings that if we haven't if it was too easy, we think we cheated or we think that oh this is too good to be true, something bad is obviously going to happen now.
If we don't have, when
Another
things
book
are
for you
too
is The
easy,
Upper Limit is The Big Leap.
oh, I've read The Big Leap. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, so
I
good,
like the
right?
cover.
With the
I
fish.
like the
Bleep.
cover. With the fish jumping out of the fishbowl.
My husband and I are always like, is this an upper limit problem? Right.
Really do sometimes, like, the truth is that one, if it was easy, everyone would do it. And two, if it was easy, we wouldn't appreciate it. But I do think
Well,
there's
and the
some
and
strength in achievements, right? Like, and I'm
right.
not everything has to be this tumultuous, is that the word? I don't know. Effort, but sometimes we
Tumultuous,
do need a
tremendous.
little bit of resistance so that we really do we're present in the moment.
You value what it is that you're getting. I remember reading some article once because I said once the public transit should be free, and someone said no because nobody will value what it is. Like, oh,
Mm,
right, I can see that. We have this interesting thing in our brain that it's not valuable if you don't pay for it. But at the same time, like Einie is reciprocity. So I'm going to give the public transit people coin of the realm in order for them to take me somewhere. If I just got on, it would feel like I was taking something without giving something in return. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
the circulation of the universe is energy. We happen to use money as energy a lot. It was Michael Beckwith who called it coin of the realm. He's so entertaining. Man, that man has energy for his age. Holy moly. I was at the Conference for Consciousness and Human Expansion, and he was dancing around on the stage. He was doing stuff I couldn't do. And I'm like, you're like in your 70s. So
Age is a construct.
it is a construct. We don't really live chronologically. So all that to say is there is value in feeling like you've achieved something. But I think saying easy, if it was easy, everybody would do it. Not everyone is meant to do the same thing.
That's
So
also true.
easy for someone like
Easy
me
for who?
is not easy for even my husband. Like I'll look at it and go, "That's so easy." He's like, "Is it?" But he
That's
does other
so
stuff,
fair. That is a
right?
really that is a really good insight.
Right? These are the meanderings of my brain, the things that I contemplate. Um, because I'm also an artist. This is, I'm in my art studio today. And someone once said, "Can you draw me a bath?" And they wanted me to fill up the bathtub. So I drew them a bathtub. They're like, "How did you do that?" I said, "Can everybody draw a bathtub?" Apparently not.
It's really
So sometimes we feel like it's too easy, therefore it doesn't have value. So I think sometimes the universe must give us some kind of little challenges. I'll throw her a challenge because she's not valuing her skill unless we give her a little bit of something to work on.
no, that is you like that is so true, especially for those of us in the business and coaching space.
Oh my
Because it's
goodness.
like the things that we take for granted because we learned it the hard way and now it's second nature, or the things that are like our own intuitive, unique gifts. Like it's second nature. And so we assume that there's nothing special about it and that
Yeah.
everyone can do it. And then you meet someone and you're like, wait a second, you mean you can't do that? Like you don't know how to do that? And not in that like condescending, like, what is wrong with you? But in a really? And people are like, oh
Yeah.
my
I
God,
thought
I pay
everybody.
you to
Yeah.
teach me how to do the thing. And you're like, what are you talking about? Like, because we just don't know. Sometimes we don't know. Whereas there's other things that we find so hard that we would pay someone to solve for us. And that person
And
who
we
has
do.
gifts and talents is like, what does it mean you'd pay me to do this?
Right.
Why we pay for
I
art?
paid a guy to fix my website who said, "But it's so easy." I'm like, "I can't figure it out. I'm really
Easy
smart.
for
I
who?
can't figure it out. Please just fix it." Right? And oh, there's there's something for everyone, right? There's a reason that there are people who are good at some things. And I was listening to Ram Dass the other day. And somebody mixed him into some music. And he said, humans need three things: food, shelter, and companionship. And when you try to layer on more than that, you make your life complicated. But the
Mm,
companionship part is, I think, the part that it's starting to be remodeled. Do you feel like companionship is being remodeled? Because partly because people blame social media for a lot of things, but we are all using social media. We're even using it right now. I know we are because we're going to post this later all over social media. So we're using social media to try and reach more people, to bring in a larger group of companions to our journey. Yet we blame it for causing people to be disconnected. So I feel like it's a tool, and it's your intention and your implementation, your like all of the reasons you use it. Because some people are going to use it for not so good. People look at spam emails. I still get emails from princes over in Africa telling me that they want to send me lots of money. I'm like, really? You're still sending those emails out? I guess they're still working in
but
some
still
way.
saying yes.
Yes. Yes, I would love millions. Thanks. No, I'm not giving you my bank information. But it's true. Like the companionship is evolving because I don't know if you know this. So the Dalai Lama, poor fella, he's getting older, and a new Dalai Lama. No, sorry, not the Dalai Lama. There's two things going on. The Dalai Lama, we're going to need a new one. But the Buddha, Buddha was here a whole long time ago. The next Buddha apparently is not going to be an individual. It's going to be the Sangha, which is the collective, which is a group. A group energy will bring the next level of transition, shift
So
of
does
shift
that
of
fall
the
under like
energy.
the concept of collective consciousness?
Collective consciousness, yes. So I feel like if we keep using social media and we keep using it like we're using it in this like intention to bring clarity, to bring insight, to bring healing, to bring something to help people shift into the collective consciousness easier, then our planet will continue to shift and we will all, here's my big, what do we call it? Big fat hairy goal, big scary fairy something, hairy scary goal is the planet shifts into the next level of consciousness where we stop blowing each other up and being jerks and uh, be good people. If you're just a good person, then the planet's so much better. But being a good person means you love yourself, you trust yourself, and you are in the right place.
Mm, that's so beautiful. You said that, like being a good, sorry, I just got distracted. So my office is on my lake, on a lake, and I looked out the window and the moon is out and it's like the middle of the day. And so it caught my attention. I'm like, hey there,
Wow.
moon. How nice to
I was
see you.
teaching Tai Chi this morning and my Christmas cactus is flowering. I'm like, oh, you guys, my Christmas cactus is flowering. And then it's like, oh, yeah, we're doing Tai Chi. Sorry.
It's so weird to me to see the moon in the middle of the day. Cause I feel like growing up, like that wasn't a thing. It was like a special moment. But now I think it's that I just was in school. And so I didn't know the moon was there the whole time. Cause I'm like, is this
Yeah.
happening? Did we just have a reality, like a transition? Am I in a different place? Like what is happening? It was very surreal. But then I remembered, I'm like, you were in a building most of the day before now. And so the moon was probably always showing. You just weren't there to see it.
Yeah. It has its days in the daytime and it has its days in the nighttime. And
Right. But no, when you were sharing, the thing that popped up for me was I just got back from a trip. And so, like, even just navigating the airport while we were waiting for the shuttle to take us back to the parking lot where the cars were, like, it had been 45 minutes since the bus for this lot had come by. And how the lack of awareness, like self-awareness and social awareness was just like so glaring because there were so many people that were so consumed by making sure that they got on the bus and only worried about themselves that they would get in the door and they'd plant themselves rather than filling in this, recognizing that they could fill in the space to make sure that all the other people who had also been waiting could get on the bus to get to their car. And so it goes to, for me, like that thought of when we're rising, is it like the cranberries that rise to the top of the bog and like some will rise and then others will get left behind and we'll have like a reality shift that way? Or like what is going to happen for those people who are not like being the like a part of the better good? Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just we continue to live together like we do now, and we just won't see them as much as we continue to shift into our higher best selves because we'll be in different environments around different people and then they'll exist but over there. Or will there truly be like a separation in, for lack of better words, just for concept of timeline?
Right. It
What
could
do you
be. I mean, imagine what that would look like. Ooh, that'd be kind of weird. And I don't think we are able to know the answer at this point. Like we can speculate. I like the cranberry idea. Some will go up and some will go down. I like the rising tides lift all ships. Think of the group collective, like think of group think. So have you ever seen that experiment where people are sitting in a waiting room and they don't the first person to come in doesn't know all the people in the waiting room are actors, so they're all just sitting, waiting in a waiting room. So this guy comes in and sits down, and a buzzer goes off, and everybody stands up. And the guy's sitting in the chair, and he's like, okay. And then they all sit back down. So he watches it a couple times, and then he starts standing up because they're all standing up. And then some of them leave, and new people come in. So by the end of it, by the end of the experiment, everybody in the room is someone who doesn't know what's going on, but they all stand up when the buzzer goes off because we feel this, and you can see it in like mob mentality, maybe. It's like people get taken over by the energy of whatever's going on, and they think the group must know better than them. So
Mm,
if we can get our group of love and happiness big enough, then perhaps the people who are resisting it will go, oh, okay, this is actually the better way to go. Or they might sink to the bottom of the bog. And then I talked to this lady once who compared it to the monarch butterfly. So there's a caterpillar and it goes into the cocoon. And I can't remember what she called the cells. There's this whole process that happens where the cells who are like, okay, it's time to become a butterfly, start fighting with the caterpillar cells. And in the middle of the transformation, it's a mess. It's like soup and goo and gross. Doesn't look like a caterpillar or a butterfly. But eventually the butterfly cells win. And then the butterfly comes out and there's no caterpillar left. But the caterpillar is like, no, I want to stay a caterpillar, and
yes.
eventually it goes,
Don't
okay, I can't.
abolish me.
I'm I'm
I'm
dying.
I I just
Exactly.
always think about that too, because like as I continue to grow into my best self, like I know where I've came from.
Hmm.
And there were times where it was hard and it was dark and there was poverty. And, like I grew up in an area with a lot of poverty while we were like middle class, but like I saw that. And like as I've continued on my journey, like I've been surrounded by new people, which have changed my perspective of what is possible. And so like while I no longer am hanging like near people who are making poor choices, I still know that they are out there. It's not like they just disappeared. I just am no
I'm
longer
related to some of them.
right. Me too. Um, I just am no longer in areas or put myself where like I'm a part of that reality. And so part of me wonders if part of that shift of us going into this like new world is really just us expanding our own reality, like of what is possible, so that we can't unsee it and we don't go back to where we came from. And so you are in this new world and that they're happening simultaneously and that
Right.
everyone can go, but it's a choice to say, I want to do things differently than the people around me. What does that look like? And then once you unlock those doors, almost like a video game, like where you unlock different areas on a map, like the fog lifts, and now those past areas are no longer accessible. You get to see the lessons that you learned and you have the tools and the ammo or the power ups that you collected back then, but like that's no longer the where you live. And so I
Right.
brain plays with that idea as well because sometimes concepts are really big and we can only comprehend with what we have experienced.
Yeah. The 3D brain sometimes can't expand. Well, it can't expand to the extent that the universal
Spiritual,
energy
yeah.
can. But it's interesting because I've seen people, you're saying you can't go back. Like I've seen people shift into something higher vibration or something better for them, freak out because it's different, and then go back. And that comes to that upper limit problem from the big leap because think about lottery winners, right? Such a high percentage of them, if they started out poor and they win a lot of money, within 5 years, they'll be poor again because they can't
I think it's
process the
because
new
they
way of being.
bypassed all the lessons that are typically
Yes.
learned in that journey.
Truth.
So the identity never shifts, right? Like they just got thrown to the wolves. And if you don't come from a place of knowing, like, I'm going to have to learn how to be this new person, and you just operate from like the you that you've always
The
been,
old, yeah.
well, then you're operating from scarcity and lack and just like trying to get what's yours rather than those of us who have that different journey. We've learned to be new people in that
So
transformation.
you've just taken us right back into the why sometimes we are challenged and why some things need to be a struggle so we can learn our new identity and how to
Yes.
operate in it.
Yes.
Look at
And we
that
need
truth
to
bomb you
practice,
just dropped.
right? And you need time practicing becoming the new version of you. And you need
Yeah.
time practicing how you handle situations as this new version because the old you would have handled it differently. And so now these are new skills, new tactics, new thought patterns, new ways of how you want to be. And sometimes you don't get it right the first time. And sometimes you just need more practice for it to become natural and part of your identity. I just went through this very recently with some experiences where it was just like, wow, the universe is really testing me to see if I truly am the person I say I've become now that I have obstacles in the way and there's some resistance here, and giving me an opportunity. Thanks, Zoom. Giving me an
That's
opportunity.
awesome.
If you're listening to us audibly, I just got fireworks in the background from my hand gestures. Um, if you're not watching us on YouTube, you didn't see that. Um, but it was just really, really cool to recognize that I had an opportunity to practice, and knowing that the next time I'm in a very similar situation, or maybe something that's a little harder, that those skills and way of being is a little bit more solidified and a little bit stronger, that it won't take as much emotional energy and intention to make sure that I am like making space, holding space, respecting myself, and showing up in those hard situations as the person I want to be, not who
Well,
I would
think
be.
about everything you learn, right? Everything we learn. Grown-ups are so hard on themselves to think that you hear it once and then it's okay, I got it. But it's like knowing but not knowing, right? I know it, but I don't know it inside.
Yes.
So that
Logically,
integration,
emotionally being like,
the integration takes time. And you think of anything like, so personal training, you go to the gym once. Why don't I have six pack abs? Well, takes some work to get six pack abs. Do you really want them? And this is where some of the challenge comes in. Is that what you really want? Do you really want a six pack abs? Well, no.
no, I
Then
just want to
then
be
why are you
able to
working on it?
feel good when I put my clothes on, right? That's different
Right?
intention, different
Very
intention.
different intention.
Actions.
So I don't always like to drop the latest buzzwords because it's not my jam, but really do need to know why you're working on something. So when the challenges do come, it's like, is this to help me increase my strength and what's that word?
Resilience.
There it is. You know what I'm talking about. Is this to help me increase my resilience in this area?
We're right
Or is
there.
this saying, yeah, or is this saying this isn't really what you want? So flick, 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 go somewhere else, you know?
Yes.
Um, because it's up when you do get those times when it's not really working and you're like, yeah, why am I doing this? You'll go, well, you're doing this because you love it. Oh, right. Okay, let's keep going.
You know what's so
Let's do another
interesting?
rep.
You know what's so interesting is that sometimes it's that question of like, actually, why am I doing this? And when you think about the real reason for why you're doing it, it's like, oh, the reason this is so hard is because I'm taking the wrong road. I'm in the wrong
You're in
vehicle,
the ditch.
right? Like, oh, there's a million and one ways to get to the destination. Why am I choosing the one that I hate?
It's
Because if my
444. That's
intention
perfect.
if my intention is, I'll use weight loss because it's a really easy one. If
It's easy
you're
to relate to.
Yeah, right. If you're thinking about like, I gotta lose weight, I gotta lose weight. So that means I'm gonna have to like eat nothing but carrots. I'm gonna have to work out 20 gazillion hours a week, and I'm gonna have to do all this stuff that I hate. Well, it's, are you looking for six-pack abs and being show ready because you want to be a figure competition person and you want to like get your pro card? That's a very specific intention and a very specific way of doing things. But if you just want to be able to like tie your shoes, feel good when you put your clothes on, be able to run around the yard with your kids, your dog, your grandchildren, and feel and not be gassy and grumpy after you eat. Well, if that's the case, then I don't need to follow the same plan as the person who's trying to go pro. I can now change my intention with, and I can think about movement, and I can think about flexibility, and I can think, oh man, every time I eat this, who cares if it's good or bad for me? Every time I eat this, I feel like crap, that's not for me. That's a very different journey and very different actions. And so I think
It's
it's
very
really
different.
important to know why you're doing it beyond just the surface level, because the road you take could be different. And then it becomes more fun and more enjoyable and less like a chore.
And you're not going to sustain it if it's a chore, right? If you're like, oh, I have to
Oh,
do this
it's a
and I'm
punishment.
not
Who
allowed to
wants
eat anymore and I'm supposed to live off air and water. Like you're not you
who
can't
wants
do
to
it. It's not going to work. It's
Yeah.
not practical.
Oh, so, so good. As we are wrapping this up today, Heather, like, is there anything on your heart that you'd like to share that maybe we didn't get to, or some final words for our listeners today?
Um, I feel like we could talk forever. Bad news bears. And it's interesting. I'm just looking over top of my computer and I have a sign there that says all roads lead to transformation.
Oh, yes.
So that's apparently the message for today.
We are collectively just going to breathe that in. All roads lead to transformation. And I really encourage you as you're listening to this and as we're wrapping today up, what if you took on that belief that no matter what you're working on and working through today, that all roads lead to transformation? Will that give you the power up, the supercharge, the shift of sun? Like maybe you need a different pair of sunglasses to get through this day and see what comes up for you. And so, Heather, how do we connect with you outside of the show?
The easiest, bestest place is heatherstewart.coach.
Oh, I love
Everything's there.
it so much. Go connect with heatherstewart.coach. Let her know that you heard her on the show. Go connect. Go be a human in this world. Connection is important. And with that, Heather, thank you for being here. That's Two Humans Talking, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. I hope you found this episode as inspiring and actionable as I did. If you're ready to stop just surviving and start living a life where your health, your relationships, and your career work together without the burnout, then it's time that you join the Modern Women's Society. Inside, I'll walk you through my life GPS system, a proven blueprint to help you have it all while thriving. You'll gain tools, coaching, and the kind of clarity that brings big dreams to life without the stress, overwhelm, guilt, and shame that the modern woman is used to. We're going to create a life where you feel energized and excited to wake up every day and fulfilled when you put your head on the pillow. Click the link below to learn more and join countless other women who are redefining success on their terms. Because the life you've dreamed about is closer than you think. I'll see you on the inside.